as a result of their loss to Cork City 8 days ago. Pat Fenlon's side had lost their last 3 games prior to a tricky trip to Belfield.
Off the back of the Setanta Cup final loss to Linfield and consecutive league defeats at the hands of Bohemians and Cork City, were there whispers of matters unravelling at Tulka Park. A trip to face UCD at Belfield was set to provide another real test. David Crawley was one of 5 first-teamers out of action. Another was Jason Byrne, and in his absence, Glenn Crowe would continue the pursuit of his first league goal for the club in tandem with Gary O'Neill. Pete Mahon was also forced into changes with Paul Byrne and Aidan Lynch out. Damien Dupuis and Brian Shortall were handed starting roles. UCD had held Shelbourne to a 1-1 draw on the opening day, and they were again to put it up to the champions when Tony MacDonald rose highest to head home Stephen Hurley's corner after just 7 minutes. The UCD captain leading by example. Joseph N'Doh had started brightly for the visitors. He might not have been expecting the chance that came his way 8 minutes later after Darren Quigley's clearance was charged down. N'Doh's effort, though, off target. UCD were impressive in the first period in defence of that 1-0 lead, and they restricted Shelbourne to half chances. After Dave Rogers' free was easily saved by Darren Quigley, Jim Crawford's volley from outside the box was again straight at the UCD netminder. And in first half injury time, Glenn Crowe couldn't put the finishing touch on some good play from Stephen Brennan. Damien Dupuis, who scored against Shelbourne in that opening day draw, brought a good early save from Steve Williams after a smart turn and shot, but the second half belonged to the visitors. Quigley pulled off a fine save from Stuart Byrne midway through, but as UCD defended manfully, it was going to take something special to break their resistance. That something came after 69 minutes. Impressive substitute Wes Houlihan played a ball forward for Glenn Crowe. 2 sublime touches later, and the former Bohemian striker was celebrating that first goal for the club. UCD's chances in the second half were few and far between, though had Tony MacDonald managed a better purchase on this shot, then they might have regained their early advantage. All the pressure, though, was coming at the other end. A fine Shelbourne move involving Houlihan and Ollie Cahill carved out an opening for Crowe 12 minutes from time, but he couldn't force his effort on target. And when Quigley was again well positioned to deal with Dave Rogers' flicked effort late on, the hosts had held on for a point.
Yeah, it was a fabulous finish from Glenn. He's been chomping at the bit to play, but we have to be careful with him for the last few weeks. You know, last month probably he's had a hamstring injury, so he's nearly there now, and you can see he's getting sharper. But all round, I was very pleased with it. You know, we've our backs against the wall a little bit at the moment, and you're 1-0 down, and it doesn't look like it's going to go for you. And they kept plugging away, worked very hard, and got a goal.
Obviously the first goal was probably the hardest one to get, but so it was something I wasn't too worried about. Just looking after the hamstring, you just get back and get playing a few games.
I thought a draw was a fair result. I thought we played well in the first half, and in fairness to Shells, they came at us in the second half. They played very well. And people talk about crisis in Shelbourne, but the way they played here tonight was very, very good. They had us under a lot of pressure, had us on the back foot for a big period second half, and we just couldn't get the ball. Their retention of the ball was excellent. But I think overall, a draw was a fair result. I mean, it took a magnificent goal, no question about that. That's one of the best goals I've seen here. But it doesn't surprise me, McLean, because he's a quality player. I know all about him from my Bohemian days. So I think overall it was a fair result.
I think we feel a bit harsh done in the end. I thought we played very well. I thought we defended quite well. It was a good ball in the end for Wezzo for the goal. Crowley was a great finish. You can't really argue with that, but I thought we were very solid. We didn't look like we were going to concede, and we're a little bit disappointed in the end that we didn't come out with 3 points, but we'll take a point.
Well, Noel, are we looking at some kind of mini collapse here for Shelbourne? That's 4 league games without a win for Pat Fenlon's men.
Well, it's not a mini collapse, it's a massive collapse, isn't it? Who would have believed? Well, they've dropped 10 points out of 12 for the champions, for everybody's favourites, everybody's tip for the championship, including my own. And something's gone wrong. Every team will hit a bad patch during the season, there's no question about that. What Pat Fenlon will be hoping is that this is his bad patch and that he can ride the storm and get out of it. I'd say he'd be delighted Kevin Doyle has gone, but it's a plus on the side.
Yes, certainly a different challenge for Pat Fenlon this year. He's brought so many high-profile names to the club, including Glenn Crowe, who got his first league goal of the season for them. Yeah, well, Pat's reaction at the start of the season was to say that it was up to the players to satisfy him, that he didn't have to satisfy them. That's quite right. But it is a different problem for management. You've got so many talented players, you have injuries, you have to decide on what your best team is, best starting 11 is, and you have to decide whether you rotate the system
when you do eventually find out what your best 11 is, or do you stick with the top 11. But they have players of quality all over the place. Crowe, for example, has scored now at last. He's off the mark. He's now available. As they've said, his injury is nearly cleared, and you can see how dangerous he is. All right, a typical shot like that is not particularly impressive from Crowe, but he has been out for a while. Some of his pass and some of his touch will need, will need sharpening. Just at the back post, we expect him to do better there as well. But as he goes and plays more matches, we all know that the best and most dangerous place for Crowe to be is in the penalty area. There's a typical example of being out of condition, not being in the hurly-burly of the game.
It's vital for Shells to get the partnership right up front, isn't it? Who does he play? I mean, will they strike it, Jason Byrne and Glenn Crowe between them?
Well, this is the dilemma that he's facing. Do you play? He likes sometimes to play Hoolan in behind. He likes to have a player with just one up front, use the two wide players, with a central midfield player getting forward. That's the dilemma he's in, but it's a great dilemma. The unfortunate thing is, this is a result-based industry, and your job and your career are based on winning, winning, winning. Pat has had 2 marvellous seasons. He's been the best manager around for a while. He now needs to earn his corn, if you like, in a different way. And it's going to be very interesting. The season has just opened up to see how he reacts. There's Crowe now at his best. Just outside, I mean, he's probably further out than he normally scores.
Terrific goal, wasn't it?
Terrific goal. You take a look at Houlihan's ball. It hits him, but it's not a marvellous ball, really, because he's so much to do. Picks him out, goes between 2 defenders. So much still to do here. Gets a lovely touch. The defender, you may argue, should be putting his foot in at some way, but he doesn't let it drop too far down before he strikes. Strikes it early and into the bottom half. Crowe is an international player, scores goals. He will score double figures this season, there's no question in my mind, and he will be a key man if Shelbourne are to return to the top.
I'd like to bring Pat in very quickly for comment here. Shell's 5 points off the pace. No need to panic yet, but they do need to start winning soon, Shelbourne.
Yeah, they're not going to panic yet. There's a long, long way to go, and as I said, they've got the experience. They've been there before. They've won it the last 2 years. They won't panic. They'll be grand.
OK, Pat.